Hey, it's Lance with DET Study. Here are 4 full Duolingo English tests from beginning to end. 3 things to take out of this video. 1, make sure that you go into the test and that you do know the rules. This will help you be prepared. 2nd, there are a lot of strategies that you can apply. These appear in a lot of our videos that we've made to help you get better and to reach the score that you need. Most importantly, what you need before taking the test is you need to practice a lot. You can do this on DET Study. We have 15,000 practice questions with sample answers and AI scoring that matches the parameters of the official test. You can also go on the official Duolingo English Test website and take the practice test there. Good luck. The reviewer also noted graphical issues, clipping problems, and poor controls.
It's not as bad as I thought it would be. It's not as bad as I thought it would be. It's not as bad as I thought it would be.
Since then, reindeer have also been used for transport, for example, for pulling sleds.
It can be found at lower latitudes at higher elevations as well. It can be found at lower latitudes at higher elevations as well. It can be found at lower latitudes at higher elevations as well. At any rate, keep your body from cooling down. At any rate, keep your body from cooling down. At any rate, keep your body from cooling down.
He noted the distribution of disease through water and soil.
I'm not proud of this. I'm not proud of this. I'm not proud of this.
This is an important exception to reinforcement theory. This means bread, pastries, and certain fermented beverages, such as beer, cannot be consumed.
I had my brother repair my bicycle. I had my brother repair my bicycle. I had my brother repair my bicycle.
The life of the city was dictated by the mine.
The driver should not ram or scrub a wheel against the curb. The driver should not ram or scrub a wheel against the curb. The driver should not ram or scrub a wheel against the curb.
Sure, what are you thinking about? That could be really interesting. There's a lot of history there that I don't know much about. Well, what do you want to focus on specifically? There's music, fashion, and dance. That could be really interesting. There are a lot of different aspects you could examine related to that topic. You're right. It is a lot to cover. But maybe you can narrow it down and focus on one specific thing, like how hip-hop dance affected mainstream dance moves or something like that.
I would like to talk about someone I know who made a bad decision. First of all, the person I'm referring to is my cousin, Scott. He's a pretty smart and ambitious person, but he sometimes lets his emotions mess up his judgment. Additionally, the situation happened last year when Scott was offered a job opportunity in a different city. It was a good position with a higher salary and better benefits. However, Scott was in a long-term relationship with his girlfriend, Denise, who was hesitant about moving to a new city. She didn't want to go. Anyway, Scott decided to accept the job without discussing it in detail with her. Ultimately, the decision to move without considering Denise's feelings led to a lot of tension and eventually the end of their relationship. Scott realized too late that he had prioritized his career over his personal life, causing huge regrets and emotional stress. This image shows that a lot of tourists are on a boat and it appears to be quite crowded. They seem to be in Venice, which is a very beautiful city because the buildings are built on water. These are European-style brick buildings. I am guessing that this picture was captured in the middle of the day, as the weather is mild and moderate, and the people are wearing light clothing. This reminds me of a trip to Italy when I was in high school. I was with my family, and we had an amazing time. It was such a memorable experience that I can immediately recall when looking at this picture. I was also on a boat when touring the city. It's really enjoyable, and you can never experience this in other places. The people are most likely tourists and being guided by the man in front because he's wearing a uniform and white hat.
What are reasons that some friendships are long-lasting? What are reasons that some friendships are long-lasting? What are reasons that some friendships are long-lasting?
I'd like to discuss reasons why some friendships endure for a long time. Firstly, Trust and mutual respect are fundamental. When friends trust each other and respect their boundaries, it gives a sense of security and openness in the relationship. Effective communication also plays a vital role. Friends who communicate openly and honestly are better suited to resolve conflicts and strengthen their connection. Moreover, shared experiences and memories contribute significantly to the longevity of friendships. When people overcome challenges together or celebrate achievements, I think these moments create strong foundations for the relationship. I have a friend named Peter whom I've known since we were kids. Our friendship has been through a lot for over 2 decades because we trust each other implicitly and communicate openly about our feelings almost always. We've shared a lot of experiences from our cool breakthroughs to difficult times, which have only strengthened our bond over the years. Our friendship is like a testimony to the power of trust and connection, I think. If I were limited to purchasing products exclusively made within our country, it would bring about big changes in our daily lives. Firstly, our choices would be reduced with fewer options available on store shelves. Items that are maybe imported, like electronics, certain food, and clothing, might become scarce or more expensive due to having less and limited supply. One of the most challenging aspects would be the absence of products that are not produced domestically. For instance, advanced technology products like smartphones or computers often rely on components made in other countries. Without access to these, consumers may struggle to find affordable alternatives, impacting their ability to stay connected and access information. Moreover, industries heavily dependent on international trade would probably face huge challenges. Manufacturers that depend on certain materials or parts may experience problems in production, leading to potential job losses or economic instability. I think with lifestyle changes, people might need to adjust their habits to adapt to the new circumstances. They may prioritize locally made products, keeping a sense of national pride and supporting domestic companies. I think that makes sense. Additionally, there could be a renewed emphasis on self-sufficiency as communities try to meet their needs with available resources. Overall, I think going to a new system where only domestically made products are accessible would require significant adjustments both for the individuals and the economy as a whole. While it may promote local industry and self-reliance, it also creates challenges in terms of choices and affordability.
They live next door. They live next door. They live next door.
These supplements can help with weight gain or weight loss, or to improve their performance. Leaves come in many shapes and sizes. It reports that there are 800 million cooperative members in the world.
A river separates the city into east and west. A river separates the city into east and west. A river separates the city into east and west.
Not all birds build nests. Not all birds build nests. Not all birds build nests.
Hackers break into computers without permission.
I wanted to let her go. I wanted to let her go. I wanted to let her go.
Sure. What is it? Yes, that's right. Some common strategies for changing behavior are positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, and self-monitoring. With positive reinforcement, rewards are associated with desired behaviors. For example, fans cheering at a concert indicates to the artist that the audience is enjoying their music. With negative reinforcement, an unpleasant consequence is removed to encourage the desired behavior. For example, to avoid getting a bad grade, someone could study hard for an exam. Self-monitoring is when you keep track of your own behaviors and try to identify patterns in them. For example, if you want to stay focused on a task, you might use a list to record the steps that you complete.
People daydream for various reasons, often as a way to escape reality, entertain themselves, or process their thoughts and emotions. To begin with, people might daydream about a wide range of topics. For example, they might fantasize about future goals, imagine themselves in different scenarios, or relive past experiences. These mental escapes can provide comfort, inspiration, and a break from routine tasks. Additionally, certain situations or emotions might trigger daydreaming. Boredom, stress, or the need for creative problem solving can lead individuals to drift into their thoughts. For instance, someone stuck in a monotonous task might daydream about an upcoming vacation, while another person might imagine different ways to handle a challenging situation at work. Ultimately, daydreaming can be beneficial for creativity and emotional processing, but can become problematic if it interferes with daily life. The image shows a minor car accident at a pedestrian crosswalk, where two vehicles have collided. The scene captures the aftermath, with two individuals standing near the damaged cars, likely discussing the incident. In the background, the bold white lines of the crosswalk stand out against the dark asphalt, creating a stark contrast. The silver car on the left and the light pink car on the right have their front ends slightly damaged from the impact. The man, dressed in a dark suit, appears to be making a phone call, possibly to report the accident or contact someone for assistance. The woman, dressed in a light-colored coat, stands facing away from the camera, seemingly observing the situation. The aerial perspective of the photo provides a clear view of the positioning and details of the vehicles and individuals involved. Reflecting on this image reminds me of a time when I witnessed a similar minor collision in a busy city intersection. The immediate concern and subsequent conversations between the drivers brought about a sense of shared responsibility and the necessity for calm resolution in unexpected situations.
Describe someone you think is courageous. What makes them so brave? Describe someone you think is courageous. What makes them so brave? Describe someone you think is courageous. What makes them so brave?
I think Malala Yousafzai is incredibly courageous. Her bravery is evident in how she has consistently faced extreme danger and adversity to fight for girls' education. To begin with, Malala's courage was most strikingly demonstrated when she stood up to the Taliban in Pakistan. Despite their ban on girls' education, she publicly advocated for the right of girls to attend school. For example, at just 15 years old, she wrote a blog under a pseudonym for the BBC, describing her life under Taliban rule and her desire to go to school. This act of defiance put her life in danger, but she remained steadfast in her commitment. Additionally, Malala's bravery was further demonstrated when she survived an assassination attempt by the Taliban. She was shot in the head while on a school bus, but miraculously survived and continued her advocacy with even greater determination. After her recovery, Malala spoke at the United Nations and co-authored the memoir I Am Malala, becoming a global symbol of courage and resilience. Ultimately, Malala Yousafzai's courage lies in her unwavering determination to fight for education and equality despite facing life-threatening dangers. Her story is a powerful example of how one person's bravery can inspire change worldwide. I believe that self-driving vehicles have the potential to be safer than human-operated vehicles. This belief is based on several key factors that highlight the advantages of autonomous technology. To begin with, self-driving vehicles are designed to eliminate human error, which is a major cause of traffic accidents. For example, autonomous vehicles are not subject to distractions, fatigue, or impaired judgment, all of which can lead to accidents. Advanced sensors and algorithms enable these vehicles to constantly monitor their surroundings and react more quickly than human drivers to potential hazards. This heightened awareness and rapid response can significantly reduce the number of collisions on the road. Additionally, self-driving vehicles can communicate with each other and with traffic infrastructure to improve overall traffic flow and reduce the likelihood of accidents. For instance, vehicle-to-vehicle communication can help prevent collisions by sharing information about speed and direction in real time. This coordination can also reduce traffic congestion and improve fuel efficiency, as autonomous vehicles can adjust their speed and routes to optimize travel times and minimize traffic jams. Furthermore, self-driving vehicles can consistently follow traffic laws and regulations, reducing the risk of accidents caused by speeding, running red lights, or other traffic violations. Unlike human drivers, autonomous vehicles adhere strictly to programmed rules, ensuring safer driving practices. For example, a self-driving car will always stop at stop signs, yield to pedestrians, and maintain safe following distances, thereby reducing the likelihood of traffic violations and associated accidents. Ultimately, while there are still challenges to overcome, such as refining the technology and addressing cybersecurity concerns, self-driving vehicles have the potential to significantly enhance road safety by reducing human error, improving traffic management, and adhering strictly to traffic laws. These advancements could lead to fewer accidents and safer roads for everyone.
I don't feel sorry for myself. I don't feel sorry for myself. I don't feel sorry for myself.
This statistic represents growth as well as a continued gap. This statistic represents growth as well as a continued gap. This statistic represents growth as well as a continued gap. What's your response? What's your response? They all joined in the chorus. They all joined in the chorus. A great number of people have replied to these claims.
A great number of people have replied to these claims. A great number of people have replied to these claims. Yeah, I've been looking at a few different programs. I'm really interested in studying in Japan. Yeah, those are both great countries too. Have you looked into any specific cities yet? It's really hard to decide. They're all so unique. Do you know when you want to go? Yeah, me too. We should start looking into it more seriously soon so that we can narrow down the specific locations.
I'd like to ask you a few questions about education. Who is your favorite teacher and why do you like them?
My favorite teacher is Nancy Atwell. She was my 8th grade English teacher from Boothbay Harbor, Maine. She's an award-winning educator, known for helping students love reading and writing by giving us a choice and encouraging creativity instead of just memorizing rules. She personally inspired me to enjoy books and writing and reading and being able to express myself confidently. And that's changed how I learned English.
I see. I've got a different question. What are some advantages and disadvantages of homework?
I think homework has advantages and disadvantages. It helps students review lessons, practice their skills, and build responsibility. However, I think too much of it can cause stress and reduce free time. So in my opinion, homework, it's useful when it's balanced and meaningful, but I don't think it should overwhelm students, honestly.
I see. I have another question. Should education focus more on practical skills or academic knowledge? Why?
I think education should focus more on practical knowledge. These practical skills, they help students solve real-life problems, can communicate effectively, and prepare for jobs in the future. While academic subjects are important, practical knowledge makes learning more useful and helps students feel confident applying what they learned outside the classroom.
Thanks for discussing education with me. Have a nice day.
I'd like to talk about traditional medicine and modern medicine in my country because both are still important in a lot of households. People choose between them depending on the problem and what they're most comfortable with. So, to begin with, common examples of traditional medicine include herbal tea, natural oils, simple remedies that are passed down through families. And the use of traditional medicine is staying about the same. People trust it for more mild issues, but they usually rely on modern medicine for serious conditions. My opinion is that traditional medicine can be helpful when it's used wisely, but it shouldn't really replace professional treatment when someone is truly sick. I think the best approach is a balance where people respect old practices while listening also to trained doctors. So ultimately, both forms of medicine can support good health as long as they are used in the right situations. In this image, a young woman is engaged in a laboratory experiment, handling test tubes filled with different colored liquids. She's wearing safety goggles and gloves, indicating a focus of safety and precision in her work. The background appears to be a well-equipped science lab, and she's likely conducting an experiment or analysis as part of a scientific study or class. There are a few items worth mentioning. The test tubes she's working with are arranged neatly in a blue rack, and the various liquids suggest she's conducting a comparative study or chemical reaction, maybe. Her expression shows dedication to her task, reflecting the serious nature of the scientific inquiry. I would love to learn to perform jazz music. Jazz has kind of fascinated me because of its history, the improvisational nature, and the emotional expression of the music. I think unlike other styles of music, jazz allows musicians to be more creative and spontaneous, making each performance a bit unique. The complexity of jazz has always drawn me in, and I think learning to perform it would be an exciting challenge that would improve my musical skills while allowing me to express music or express myself in different ways. To begin with, some of my favorite jazz artists include Miles Davis and John Coltrane. Miles Davis is known for his groundbreaking work in jazz, especially his ability to push boundaries of the genre with albums like Kind of Blue. His trumpet playing and innovative approach to music inspire me. In addition, John Coltrane's saxophone performances are legendary for their technical skill and depth. His album, A Love Supreme, is probably on my all-time favorite list because of how he blends spirituality and music in a profound way. These artists have influenced me the most, and I think have influenced generations of musicians and shown versatility and how powerful jazz can be. Also, I think that jazz contributes to society in important ways. So it has a long history of breaking down social and racial barriers. Jazz emerged from African American communities, and its rise in popularity helped bring people from different backgrounds together to appreciate the art form. Moreover, jazz encourages collaboration and improvisation, which are valuable skills in any community. It teaches people to listen, to adapt, to work together to create something beautiful. This spirit of collaboration and freedom can inspire more open-mindedness and creativity in society as a whole. So, wrapping up, learning to perform jazz would be a rewarding experience. It would allow me to explore creativity, the creative possibilities of music, with artists like Miles Davis, John Coltrane as inspiration. I admire how jazz blends technical skills with emotional expression. Beyond personal Beyond the personal joy of performing, jazz also plays a role in promoting cultural exchange and creativity. It's more than just music or a genre of music. It's a way to bring people together and celebrate the freedom of music.
I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going.
Three other things are important when taking a photograph. Three other things are important when taking a photograph. Three other things are important when taking a photograph.
However, for boneless, skinless chicken breast, the amount is much lower. However, for boneless, skinless chicken breast, the amount is much lower. However, for boneless, skinless chicken breast, the amount is much lower.
She was too wise not to understand what you meant. She was too wise not to understand what you meant. She was too wise not to understand what you meant. Silver costs less than gold. Silver costs less than gold.
You are asking your friend to look over your application materials before you apply to your dream job. You're hoping to get a job as a research assistant at a local hospital and want to make sure your application is as strong as it can be. You are asking your friend to look over your application materials before you apply to your dream job. You're hoping to get a job as a research assistant at a local hospital and want to make sure your application is as strong as it can be. Sure, what's up? Yeah, of course. Let me have a look. Well, your grades look really good, and you have a lot of experience in customer service and research from your previous jobs. Plus, you're proficient in data management, which will definitely come in handy doing research at a hospital. Well, your grades look really good, and you have a lot of experience in customer service and research from your previous jobs. Plus, you're proficient in data management, which will definitely come in handy doing research at a hospital. Your application looks great. I don't think there's anything else you need to add. Just make sure to proofread it before you submit it so there are no typos or anything like that.
I'd like to talk about why people daydream and what it reveals about the way their minds work. Daydreaming happens to almost everyone, and even though it seems simple, it can say a lot about a person's thoughts and hopes and emotions. To begin with, people often daydream about situations they wish would happen, like future goals, personal relationships, or exciting adventures. Sometimes a person daydreams because they feel bored or stressed or even curious, and then their mind starts to drift towards something more interesting or comforting. In my opinion, daydreaming is not a problem unless it becomes excessive or interrupts a lot of daily responsibilities. Most of the time, it can actually help people relax and think creatively or understand their feelings more clearly. It gives the brain a short break, which can make sometimes things more focused. Ultimately, people daydream for many reasons, as long as it doesn't interfere with real life tasks and it can be a natural event and a useful part of every day. The image captures a moment on a residential street where two young children are riding in a blue car, toy car, and an adult is playfully pushing them forward from behind. The girl in the orange sweater is steering the car, while the other child stands nearby, appearing excited and ready to join in on the fun. There are several elements in the background that contribute to the atmosphere of the scene. The street is lined with houses, one of which is visible with white walls and green shutters. Parked cars and a few other houses are in sight, indicating a quiet neighborhood. The adult, dressed in a dark sweater and jeans, is smiling and focused, making sure the children are having a thrilling ride. The overall mood is playful and heartwarming, giving light to the simple pleasure of outdoor activities. This image brings to mind carefree, adventurous spirit of being kids and childhood. It evokes memories of playing outside where the entire neighborhood becomes a playground. The photograph captures the essence of fun and togetherness, and it shows the joy of imaginative play.
I'd like to ask you a few questions about education in the arts and sciences. Describe why some people prefer studying science over art.
Some people lean towards science because they appreciate the structure of objective inquiry. They love that science tackles problems with data and experiments and actual outcomes. It often offers more clear career paths as well, whether it's medicine, technology, or engineering.
Interesting. Let me ask you another question. Talk about how schools can balance both art and science education.
I think schools can balance both by I think schools can balance both by giving equal weight to each. They could offer project-based learning that combines both perspectives, like engineering projects with design or storytelling through film maybe. I think when students see creativity and logic, they build well-rounded skills.
Thanks. I've got a different question. Do you think art or science influence your thinking more? Why?
Oh, I think science definitely influences my thinking, and it's because I'm drawn to structure and logic and understanding how things actually work. Science gives me a type of framework to analyze problems, and I find that it's kind of grounding. But art's good. It's definitely an important part of life too because it encourages creativity and emotional expression.
I see. I have another question. What are potential future trends in integrating art and science education?
I think that we might see more technology-driven artistic tools such as artificial intelligence helping create visualizations or music, something like that. Future classrooms could also embrace storytelling with data or virtual reality experiences that blend art and science together. I think being too popular can come with some negative consequences, even though many people think of fame as a desirable goal. One of the main downsides of being popular is the loss of privacy. When someone becomes well known, every part of their life can come under public scrutiny, leaving them with little personal space. Additionally, I think that popularity attracts criticism and pressure to maintain a certain type of image, which can lead to stress and anxiety. This attention from others, whether it's positive or negative, can strain relationships and make it hard to know who truly values you as a person. So, to begin with, many people want to be famous because they believe it will bring them happiness, validation, accomplishment. For example, fame comes with material success. You can have a lot of great things. You can have admiration and opportunities that are not available to everyone. People think that being famous will solve all their problems and make them feel more important. However, the reality is that fame can bring new challenges like isolation and the pressure to live up to other people's expectations. And despite the downsides, the idea of being admired by many and living a glamorous life continues to appeal to others. Furthermore, I believe it's far more important to be kind than to be popular. Kindness builds meaningful, lasting relationships based on respect and trust, while popularity is often fleeting and superficial. People may be liked for their appearance or social status, but kindness, I think, goes deeper and it reflects a person's character. Moreover, kindness has a positive effect on the community, and it inspires others to be compassionate and supportive. Popularity, on the other hand, can create a kind of competitive environment where people focus more on their status than being genuinely good to others. Ultimately, while being popular seems appealing, it comes with a lot of drawbacks, such as loss of privacy and increased pressure. People may choose fame for validation of success, but I think it's much more important to be kind because it builds connections and creates a more positive impact on those around us, making it the better choice for a fulfilling and meaningful life. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to be off to the side. You can ignore me, but I'll be talking through some parts of it and going through different techniques as well that I use during the test. It starts right off with read and select. We have 5 seconds to choose the word. You don't have to use the entire 5 seconds, but you must choose it within the 5 seconds. And you'll see long letter combinations like this, and you kind of know, obviously, that that's not a word. So there might be some guessing that you will do at certain times during this section. Okay, we're getting through this part. Undershirt, yes. Okay, now we move to fill in the blanks, where you have 20 seconds to fill in the blank letters in the word. Now try to remember context clues. That means try to understand the words to the left and the right of the missing word. String. Limit access. What does limit access mean? What's the word for that? Restrict. Now you will see also that I do make mistakes in this test. So even as a native speaker, there are mistakes I make. And, we're not perfect. This test is hard for everybody. Immense amount of books, a lot of quantity. And the idea of me, and the reason that I left the mistakes in there is to show you that even if you make mistakes yourself, that it's still possible to get a very good score. So don't worry about areas where you don't know. It is always best to fill in the words, the letters if you can, but if you notice here, I didn't do it. It just went to the next one. I didn't know what that word was. Community here. Community, a spiritual community with the mountains. I had to think about that one. What's the adverb for huge? Hugely. Hugely successful. Wings that flutter. Okay, mixed language skills this. 3 types. Listen and type, read aloud, and read and complete. So let's take a look at these. We'll go through these together.
I tried a little bit of every dish. I tried a little bit of every dish.
You can play it 3 times. All the necessary information regarding format and structure has already been provided.
Successful relationships require effective communication.
Try to get as much as you can on the first listen. Successful relationships require.
Successful relationships require effective communication.
My cursor's in the way there. Is that in the cursor here? No.
Successful relationships require effective communication.
I'll be back when I'm ready. You have 1 chance to do that one.
It takes years of intensive study and training to become a medical doctor. It takes years of intensive study and training to become a medical doctor.
Sorry, I left my cursor in the way there during the test.
It takes years of intensive study and training to become a medical doctor.
And if you've noticed, my cursor is very big. I like a big cursor. It takes years of intensive study and training to become a medical doctor. Next.
The internet has changed life all across the world. The internet has changed life all across the world.
Changed life. It was hard to understand him, but it was the internet has changed life all across the.
The internet has changed life all across the world.
So we're correct there. Make sure you get your punctuation in. The internet has changed life all across the world. Thermodynamics is the study of energy and its transformation from one form to another.
She loved to fixing cars. She loved to fixing cars.
Hi again. For some of these, I didn't let the entire timer tick out, but I did want to show you on this first one what you go through when you're filling in the particular letters. Remember that the first sentence is always complete and the last sentence as well. And there are words sometimes that repeat themselves, so that'll help you when you're filling the blanks in here. You might see repetition of vocabulary. I got a little stuck on this word, and it's the word doned. It finally came to me at the end. D-O-N-N-E-D, which means to put on. Come on. You can do this, Lance. N-E-D. He donned his shoes. It took me a while, but I think I still have, I had 9 seconds and I finally got it at the end. So donned. Good. These were built by skilled laborers who were paid in goods and supplies.
When he stood up, he realized that his leg had fallen asleep.
This is the mixed skills section where you're going through these 3 question types. That'll be the third part of the test.
When he stood up, he realized that his leg had fallen asleep. When he stood up, he realized that his leg had fallen asleep.
You have the time, you can listen 3 times. I've been working on my application and trying to make it as strong as possible.
We've ascertained the truth. We've ascertained the truth. We've ascertained the truth.
The voices change. Okay, I think this one I skipped through it because I didn't go through the 3 minutes, but I may have made a mistake or a spelling error in there. I'm not sure. Logic that individuals who come in with expertise in a topic.
Psychology teaches us that our behavior influences our beliefs.
Psychology, Psychology, teaches us, I think he said.
Psychology teaches us that our behavior influences our beliefs. Psychology teaches us that our behavior influences our beliefs.
Good. And you get to meet so many new people from all over the world. Okay, interactive reading is 2 parts. I'm sorry, it's not 2 parts. That's interactive listening. There are 6 sections on this question type. I know I'm going quickly. Let's select the words. In this particular one, it's okay, interactive listening. It's important to read the topic of the conversation at the very top of the screen first. I think I do scroll up to do that momentarily. And you want to know who you're talking to and what you're talking about. You and your friend have recently gotten a part-time job as a lab assistant, and you're discussing
It's going good. I'm really enjoying it.
how the job's going. And these were there were 2 here that I were thinking of choosing, and I happened to choose the incorrect one. Lab assistant, I chose the wrong one, if you notice here.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. But it's really interesting to see how everything works and to be a part of the process. Yeah, definitely. I'm just glad that we were able to get these positions. Absolutely. Everything is really organized and planned out ahead of time, which makes our jobs a lot easier.
I think I was running out of time here at the end, but I think it's submitted properly. Okay, writing about a topic. You have 5 minutes to write about a topic. This is interactive writing, where we have 5 minutes on the first section and then 3 minutes on the second. Many believe it's important to learn about the environment from an early age. What environmental topics are important for children to understand? Explain your opinion using details and examples. Now, I'll zoom in a bit. I find that when we disagree with topics, we write more fresh. Our writing is more original and sharper. My examples are better. I come across more believable, and that's just my take on it. So disagreeing can be a very good technique for writing. All right, the second part says expand on your opinion by discussing how the concept of natural resources plays into the environmental topics that you believe are important for children. I continue to say I still disagree. I still think it's not vital for young kids to focus heavily on environmental topics. Good examples. You can pause it to take a look at what I wrote here and see how the writing is structured.
Talk about a time when you or someone you know won a prize. Talk about a time when you or someone you know won a
You have 3
prize.
times that you can listen.
Talk about a time when you or someone you know won a prize.
I'd like to talk about a time when I won a prize, which was actually a gold medal in 1987 in the long jump competition in high school in Avon, Connecticut. It was a very memorable time because it was the first time I'd ever really won a gold medal in an event like that. I'd practiced for quite a while, jumping only for about 2 years, so I wasn't expecting to win. I was just hoping to place somewhere in the top 5. The event itself was pretty exciting, but it was nerve-wracking as well. I remember standing at the edge of this sand pit, focusing on the technique and getting my steps down. I'd been practicing over and over to build up speed on the runway and take off at the right point with a perfect stride and landing as far as I could. I remember when my name was announced as the winner, I had beaten out somebody who had won the year before, so I was almost in disbelief, but I felt incredibly proud. I think what made it more special was that my father showed up just in time for the final jump that I made, and he was busy on a Saturday doing a bunch of things, but he came, and that made the whole experience unforgettable. So winning the gold medal probably remains one of the highlights of my life, not just because of the achievement itself, but because it taught me about perseverance. Now we have 90 seconds to speak about this image. The unique image depicts a beautiful museum with a grand hall that feels impressive and very welcoming. It includes tall arches and carvings at the very top of the image, and you can see massive glass ceiling that allows sunlight to stream in, making everything look bright. On the left side of the image, you can see rows of detailed arches and balconies, which add a lot of character to the space. At the top of the image, the chandeliers hang from the ceiling and they really stand out. They look very golden, giving the museum rich and an elegant feel. This photo was taken sometime during the day because the sunlight is shining through the glass on the rooftop, lighting up the floors and displays. I may have finished a bit early there. Okay. Read then speak. Again, 90 seconds. I'd like to talk about a time when I was especially productive at work, and this was when I was responsible for putting together presentations on every Saturday to recruit English teachers in Seoul, Korea. Every week, I spoke to a group of about 70 to 80 different people about teaching English as a second language, and the talks were pretty engaging, I felt, and interactive, focusing on practical teaching methods and what they could expect in the classroom and certain survival skills as well. To stay focused and productive, I made a structured plan for each presentation. I made sure that the content fit the audience, and there were some interactive elements, question and answer sessions and breakouts, and we practiced on how to speak confidently in front of a classroom. I also reviewed feedback for each session so that I could improve for the next one. It was difficult. It was challenging. I stayed organized. I prepared ahead of time, and it really helped me manage the workload. The result was that these presentations were highly successful, I felt, and many attendees signed up for the program, were recruited and became excellent teachers. Okay, the writing and speaking sample, which is the end of the test. What's the most unusual food you've ever eaten? Why did you decide to try it? And how was the experience? Again, I'm skipping through this quickly. I'll zoom in. This is in 92 when I went to the Philippines and I ate balot, which is a half-born chicken. I got dared to do it. You can pause the video. You can see the structure I used. And that is a 5-minute writing test. Now I go into the speaking sample. There are many different types of intelligence. Do you agree that or disagree? Use examples from personal experience and observations to explain your perspective. I'll let it go for itself. I do agree with this statement. I think it's talking about different types of intelligence in terms of logical intelligence and maybe emotional intelligence, which gets into the realm of feeling. I think that it isn't just about being logical and solving problems, math problems, if you will, or scientific equations. I think when you talk about intelligence, there's a part of it that is emotional, and it can be very helpful in different scenarios. For example, you could be a very logical person, but you may not be able to figure out emotional situations. You could have a very high IQ, but you might be responsible at work, for example, in solving conflicts and building strong teams. And I think somebody who has a very high emotional intelligence will be able to do that in a different capacity than somebody who's logically intelligent, if that makes sense. I think both are important when it comes to, let's say, business, because I think you have people in business that are able to solve things logically and analyze situations. And I think that the emotional part of it in business or corporate situations is that you can analyze and structure a business logically, and that would work perfectly there. But when it comes to motivating people, I think you would need a certain amount of intelligence to motivate a team and inspire them. They are complementary. They're not adversarial. They're not in conflict with each other. So I think both work well together. And there it is, 140 to 150. I finished a little bit early on that last speaking sample. Shows you the IELTS and the TOEFL equivalent. So that's a very good score. And again, I made some mistakes. I didn't finish some sections as well where it automatically went to the next section. But that just gives you confidence to show that even if you make some small errors, don't speak perfectly, all of your words don't come out the way you want, you can still do very well on this test. So thanks so much for watching this video. If you are interested to improve your score, especially in the writing section, check out this video. And if it's speaking, check out this video here.